Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jay. I took down the other Nibiru and reverse speech video. I'm going to go ahead and put what I got out there already. And hopefully, some people with some better computer software programming can go ahead and give this a try. Now, what I'm referring to is, I think in September 6, 2009, NASA scientist David Morrison, yeah, you if you're watching, I hope you are, came out with this video assuring people how nothing is wrong in 2012, there's no threat to Earth, there's no danger, yada yada yada. Even back then, before I knew anything about what's going on in the world and reverse speech, I knew it was bullshit. Let's be honest with each other here. Now, I don't have this fancy video making equipment and all that stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and read to you what I got and what I've translated. Look this up yourself. You'll see that I ain't jerking your chain here. Alright, so, in this video, he says, there is no threat to Earth. When you reverse that, it says, the Earth has one secret. I don't know about one secret, but, I'm sure he's referring to, at least subconsciously, some major secret that we don't know about. Now, this next one is really strange, and I don't know what it means exactly. But he says, there is no danger. Well, when you reverse that, it says Earth's Nibiru in secret, which, once again, doesn't make sense because Nibiru is supposed to be the planetary body that's really coming and mess things up. Moving right along. He says, all the talk about the doomsday, put that in reverse, and it says, yeah, it's moving, but not across the ball. Now, I don't know if ball's the last word. That's what it sounds like to me. Once again, doing this from a phone. He goes on to say, it's a big hoax. Reverse that, it says sole secrecy. Then he says, so please don't worry about it. Reverse that, you're not going to hear it or see it. It makes sense if it's the brown dwarf that doesn't reflect light, and that's why astronomers aren't tracking it and all that other stuff. Okay, now this is the big one. I got a lot out of this one. Once again, this is all the first 50 seconds. He says, let me talk about some of the specific things. There's been a lot of talk about a Planet X or Nibiru as a giant planet that's going to hit the Earth, or at least come very close. Now, there are certain parts of this reversal that aren't too clear to me, but I'll tell you what I got out of it. I got the southern atmosphere, Mercury and Venus, and then after that, it hits at the New Indian coast. I believe they say guard after. Then after that, at 100 miles per hour, it hits at what I believe it says, the north part of all Europe. Let's put that all together. The southern atmosphere, Mercury and Venus, and then after that, it hits at the New Indian Coast Guard. Then after that, at 100 miles per hour, it hits at the north part of all Europe. Don't know what that's about. Once again, I'd really appreciate some help on this. And then he ends that with saying, in December 2012. Reverse that, it says, the elf cannot know my secret, which I think elf is commonly referred to as the reptilians in reverse speak. I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm still learning as well. It goes on to say, I think a minute down the line, he was talking about the pole shifting, and he says, if you're talking about the rotation pole of the Earth, and if you reverse the rotation pole of the Earth, you get spacecraft, hurry, go off in secret. Now, I don't know if that relates to, what Peggy Kane was saying about them leaving when Nibiru or Elenin is coming. Also, I thought you guys should know a couple interesting takes, that I've seen about Elenin that makes a lot of sense. The fact that it stands for 9/11 backwards, and that it's a warning system of some kind put out by NASA employees, not the Illuminati, for those able to perceive it. Now, I'm not taking it lightly. I do know that something catastrophic is heading this way. There's a lot more to this message with David Morrison. There's a lot in there that I can't make out due to the quality of how I'm doing this. So I'm open to anybody who wants to give it a shot and do their reversals and hit me back with what they got, make their own video. It's all good. All I can tell you is, Mr. Morrison, your disinformation isn't working. Not for this guy anyway, and I'm sure not for a lot of other people. People might be curious to, why, I would call people out like that and, use my face and not hide about it because I don't care. I'm not worried about being taken out or anything else like that. What's going to happen is going to happen. I do believe that we are going to enter a time of extreme tribulation. There's going to be some really fucked up shit going on. But after that, I'm hoping that we'll be able to experience life like never before. I hope that this at least helps some people to wake up. And those of you watching, if you're not woken up already and you're not aware of what's going on in your surroundings, you need to put some more research into it, and then you need to be firm in what you believe, and you need to wake up those around you. That's the only way anything's going to make a difference. We need to stand together, and we all need to wake the fuck up. Alright? So anyway, hope y'all look into this reversal, and keep reversing top master scientists. People know something, because you'll find something, and together we'll figure this out. Alright, guys? Alright, thanks for watching.